Hello everyone, Jeff Duncan, Josh Katzenstein coming to you from M&T Bank Stadium, where the New Orleans Saints have just completed a dramatic 24-23 victory, a come-from-behind victory, trailing by 10 points in the fourth quarter. Drew Brees authors a couple of big touchdown drives and pulls the Saints from behind, and then of course we get the incredible finish with Justin Tucker missing the extra point. Your thoughts on a kind of a wild outcome? I'm still trying to process it all.
Well, I mean, I think you have to give the Saints a lot of credit for just sort of being this resilient and making this comeback. I mean, they were down 10 points going into the fourth quarter against the #1 defense in the league, a team that had not given up a touchdown in the second half all season. And it was funny talking to like Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. They knew like all the like metrics and analytics that favored the Ravens defense and all this stuff. But I thought it was really interesting what Sean Payton said, that after, like, he said that they weren't going to let the Ravens do to them what they did to Tennessee last week, which was get 11 sacks. So the Saints just had a different offensive approach than they normally do, which was to just have really quick passes, which I know is normal, but then just like be content with short runs, just because if you can run the ball at all effectively, and I mean, it wasn't super effective, but if you can do anything on the ground, you know, it keeps those pass rushers just a little bit on their heels, so that when you do need the pass plays, it's easier to make them. And Drew Brees made several that were incredible, you know, from various body positions with guys bearing down on him. I mean, Brees had, I would say the best game he's had all year, but I mean, he was so good against Washington. But I mean, it was just another epic performance for him, getting his 500th touchdown, beating all 32 NFL teams, and it was a huge win.
Yeah, I think the key word, and we heard it a lot in the locker room and from Sean Payton, was composure. I mean, it would have been easy to have folded up your tent. It's a very good defense they were going against. They were down 10. Things weren't going their way. But, again, it goes back to Brees. I think his leadership, and it's not just necessarily the pass plays he's making, which are in and of himself incredible, but it's the way he carries himself. He's poised and making big plays at critical times on third downs when they're really against the chains. He ends up making a big play, and those are kind of backbreakers to the defense, and I think instills confidence in the Saints. And this is one of those games, we've seen them over the years, where you win a game on the road in a hostile environment when maybe you could have lost it. And, you know, these things kind of snowball, and all of a sudden you get confidence and you put together a special season.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, the defense sort of showed that too. You know, they were struggling in the first half, especially with John Brown. I mean, John Brown had 103 receiving yards at halftime. A lot of that came against Ken Crawley. But then we didn't hear of John Brown until that last drive when he caught the touchdown and got wide open. And obviously that's a problem for the Saints, that they're letting them march down the field to what, excuse me, should have been a game-tying drive. And they were fortunate that Justin Tucker missed the extra point. But still, the defense in the second half really kept the Saints in it, you know, and it kept the field position in their favor too. I mean, there are all sorts of just like the small little details that every coach always talks about, whether it's field position, you know, time of possession, you know, third down conversions, fourth down conversions, all these little things. And when they, you know, when more of them play to your favor than not, there's a good chance you're going to win, and I think that's a big reason why they did.
Yeah, and they put themselves in position. You know, Sean Payton talked about that. He said, we felt like we deserved to win the game because they put themselves in position to win at the end, and it's all those little things you talk about offensively, defensively. I thought the kicking game was very good, and that played a factor as well today. And look, the Saints pull out a big road win. This is the second one we've seen. You know, they went in Atlanta and won a game coming from behind the fourth quarter, and another one today. And again, this is now 5 in a row for this team after losing the opener. They're 5-1, and they go to Minnesota. It's been a nemesis for them the last year or so, but this one will make it a little bit easier to prepare this week for the Minnesota Vikings. For Josh Katzenstein, Jeff Duncan, thanks for joining us.